Welcome back to 23 Degrees Sideways. In the last video I talked about a list of grievances stated as demands. Right now I got to talk to you about protest, civil disobedience, and what comes next for us. We have a long and hard road ahead of us. We will be demonized at every turn, and I think that this is important to remember. I'm going to put this in the context of civil disobedience. Say, for example, if you have a list of grievances, and your basic demand is that this list of grievances needs to be recognized, needs to be read into the record at your local county board, at your local city council. You need to get the mayor to read it in public. You need to get your county board to read it in public, to read it to people. You need to get your governor to stand up and read it in public and acknowledge that it exists. You need to get your state legislature, assembly and senate, to read them into the record, to publicly acknowledge them. That is a demand. That's a fair demand, okay? We have a list of grievances. You will acknowledge them. Then we can work on actually accomplishing them. But it's a fair demand. That demand is probably at some point in time going to require something like civil disobedience. Standing peacefully, silently, in front of the doors of the county courthouse, the governor's mansion, the legislative assembly building, with your paper. We will not leave until you acknowledge and agree to read our demands into the record, our list of grievances into the record. We will not leave until you agree to acknowledge our statements. We will not leave until you do this. And block the doors. That's basic civil disobedience. There's no fighting involved, okay? If the police pick you up to remove you, they pick you up to remove you. Civil disobedience. Totally peaceful. No weapons. Okay, this is a hard one for people on the right, because I got to tell you, the first thing you have to do is understand that, yes, I acknowledge that you have a Second Amendment right to be armed for purposes of self-defense at all times, in all places. I agree, okay? I can see strict scrutiny applying to a few specific environments, but this isn't about demonstrating a right. This is about getting a list of grievances heard. This is the time and the place where you take, because this is the way the battle has to be engaged in. Okay? This is a place where you take everything off of your person that they can ever accuse you of using as a weapon. See the size of this knife? Guarantee you that if they do arrests of people on the right, people, libertarians, Republicans, whatever, people on the freedom side of things, if they arrest you for civil disobedience, if you're carrying this, the left will report that you are a domestic terrorist intent on killing people. For that, nail clipper knife. All right? I guarantee you that at some point in time in the next 4 years, someone on the wrong side, someone on the liberty side, will be arrested with a plastic fork or a plastic knife, and that the presence of that will be spun into some flavor of domestic terrorism. Guarantee you that's going to happen. Sillier things have already happened. So you go to sit in front of the doors at your state capitol, your state legislative assembly. You do it with nothing, okay? This is iffy, all right? Even this is iffy, because they will weaponize anything you own in order to try to claim that you are an evil, bad, intimidating, horrible presence. These are the same people who will defend, literally defend, and instigate riots with Molotov cocktails, death, mayhem, property destruction, and death. Remember that over 60 people died last year in the riots. Over a dozen of those are directly attributable to actors within BLM and Antifa. That's defended, okay? The left defends that. They're not going to treat you fairly. They're not going to say, you peacefully protested and sat and engaged in peaceful civil disobedience, demanding that your voice be heard. No. You are an intimidating racist threat of white supremacy, domestic terrorists trying to stop fair government. That's the label. Okay? You have to be ready to acknowledge and embrace that label. They are going to demonize you like you would not believe. Pay attention to the news right now. Pay attention, okay? They're calling for the resignation of people from Congress for saying the wrong words. And they're not calling for it like, we think that no, they're demanding, okay? They're demanding ejection from Congress. They're going to have votes on this. Anyway, they will demonize you. That's the other thing you have to be prepared for. And there's a defense to this, which I'll get to, but you have to be prepared for the fact that if you go to your state capital with your list of grievances and some friends, 10, 20 people, it's all it takes, man, and you sit in front of the doors and you say, we want our grievances read into the record. We demand our grievances be read into the record. We will not move from the doors unless you read our grievances into the record. They will remove you. The police will arrest you. Okay? They will file charges against you. Because you're not on the left. They won't let you go. Okay? Now, they can do this to one person. They can do this to 10 people. They can probably manage to do it to 100 people. Once you get past that, it's not going to work. Okay? At that point in time, it's too broad. Now, as far as that goes, legal defense fund, whatever, just deal with it. We've been dealing with this on both sides of the aisle for hundreds of years. This is how Americans operate. This is how Americans petition their government for a redress of grievances. We try writing letters, and then we sit on the steps and shout and hold placards, and then we sit in front of the doors and make them move us. It's normal. Okay, this is how American political action works. Civil disobedience is a standard tactic. It's one that is very difficult for the current right-oriented, right-wing-oriented, freedom-oriented people because we don't want to break the law, because we've been taught that the law is sacred. Okay, laws are always written to advantage one set of people over another. That's not true. That's a little too broad. Laws are always written to advantage one set of people or ideology. Not necessarily over another, but they're written for an advantage. Okay, laws against assembly in front of the Capitol building are written to advantage the representatives, the political delegates that you've elected. That doesn't necessarily mean it's disadvantaging you. But it's written for their advantage. It's written for their purposes. And insofar as it works, great. When you're left with no other option to get your voice heard, then you have to break that law. Speed laws. There's a lot of laws that are written to advantage a certain group of people. They're written for a purpose. And the purpose is never justice. Rarely justice. Okay, that's not how laws happen. That's not how laws work. Deep theory for another time. If you go to protest, you will be demonized. Now, as far as an arrest goes and misdemeanor trespass fines and stuff, whatever, just suck it up, get a GoFundMe or whatever version of GoFundMe we're allowed to access. Pass the hat at church, go to the VFW and say, hey, look, I'm protesting this, I've got a $500 fine, give me a hand. Whatever. If you can afford it, just do it. If you need help, that's fine. This is how movements operate. The bigger problem is going to be the thought police, the political police. We are living in an era, an extremely Orwellian era, but not nearly as structured as George thought it would be. Right now, if you do think the wrong thing, then a social media mob, some group of actors from the left, the thought police, will come after you. They will find out who you are, where you live, who you work for, where your kids go to school. Okay? They will attack you. They will try to get you fired from your job. They will try to get your marriage broken up. They will try to get your kids, they will attack your kids at school, ideologically and very realistically, emotionally. They will attack your kids at school. This has happened. This has happened to force the election certification process just in this past couple of months. Okay, people have threatened the children of other people to force compliance. Think about that. Really think about that. That's going to happen. And there's a defense against that. The same as the defense against the civil disobedience enforcement, law enforcement. And that is numbers. Rule one, don't back down. If they attack you, if they say, you're an evil domestic terrorist because you demanded free speech at the Capitol and sat in front of the door, then you need to call them out. You need to defend it. You say, yes, I peacefully assembled for a redress of my grievances. What are you so scared of hearing? Why are you scared to let me speak? Why are you scared to let me be present? What are you afraid of? You're acting like a fascist. Why are you scared of me? Just keep going. Don't respond to anything else. Just keep going. Get your line, get your message, get your response, stick to it. Never let them get under your skin. 2, more than one. Anybody who is with you, anytime there's more than one of you there, okay, on social media, in public, you are a group, okay? Groups attract members. They can say, oh, we want you fired and ostracized from your community. But when they start to say that to 10%, 20%, 30% of the people, they fail. They utterly and completely fail. They're going to fail against you anyway, because at the end of the day, people, your friends, are going to say, okay, it's a little weird. He goes to the Capitol and says, hey, read this paper. Whatever. But that's not terrorism. They know better, okay? People will support what they know. This is a basic trick of politics. You can get people to cross party lines and vote for other people just by meeting them, engaging them in conversation, becoming a real person to them. People are social, and they like real people, okay? If a bunch of faceless people in the mob decide to demand that you be fired, then okay, they have they have a voice. They have a loud, screechy voice. But you have a relationship. And if it becomes 2 or 3 or 4 people where you work, that's a different situation, Now it's looking like I can't really punish you because now it looks like I'm purging, You get a lot of power that way. And it doesn't take very many people. You do have to disseminate, and publicize your side of the story. One of the ways to do that is to, again, have a script and stick to it and not respond to any other questions if you get media. Whether it's citizen media, professional media, corporate media, whatever it is, don't respond to anything else. You have a message. All you care about is getting that message out. Man. This is the hard part. The hard part here is that they really are going to come after everything in your life. You know this. How much are they going to do it? How effective are they going to be? Not very. They're really not going to be very effective. You see on the headlines, you see sometimes where some bigger people get attacked by the mob, the Twitter mob or the Facebook mob, and get taken down. But this happens on a daily basis to individual people, and most of the time it's pretty ineffective. Most of the time it's some guy who can't spell economy without a spell check, right? He can't articulate, express anything, communicate very well. He's just trying to take you down because he doesn't like you. Or he doesn't like your political positions. I've got a guy sitting on my comment thread I've been engaging with just for shits and giggles on one of my other YouTube videos, who keeps trying to tell me I'm a doofus and something about beer. But he doesn't actually have the ability to have an argument. If this guy tries to take me down in public as a social justice warrior, he's going to fail. He's going to fail miserably because no one's going to listen to him. Okay? That's mostly what you're going to deal with. Annoyance. So, you do have to have a little intestinal fortitude, a little bit of, you need to have a little bit going on, courage, discipline, dedication to do this, but it will work in the end if you just stick to it. And that's our next phase. Our next phase is really literally going to be standing up, protesting and issuing our lists of grievances, what we want to see, what went wrong, and making our voices heard. Do it peacefully. Do it extra special peacefully, and make sure you have people filming it all the time. Stay sideways.